One of the planned highlights of my tour of the South Island of New Zealand was a trip up Fox Glacier. I had done my homework on the various ways of viewing the glacier and had decided on a heli-hike to get high up onto the ice. I had some time the evening before to explore around locally and see some of the lush scenery resulting from the area's very high annual rainfall. Fortunately, the following morning dawned clear and bright, so the flight was confirmed as being on. The excursion started rather quaintly, with the trip to the helipad being made in a vintage Bedford bus known as Old Blue. By the time we were kitted out in thick socks and extremely stout boots, the helicopter was arriving to take us high up onto the glacier. It ran something of a shuttle service. We all had to put on ear muffs for the flight, not for the cold, but because helicopters are very noisy machines indeed. There was a small landing pad marked out with rocks, and the pilot landed us with precision. A nod, and it was time for us to get out. The first few steps out of the helicopter were rather scary, because we still had to attach the crampons to our boots. Sheets of uneven ice, combined with the downdraft from the rotors, made an interesting combination. The helicopter immediately headed off for base camp to pick up his next load. After giving us some basic instructions, our guide headed off to find some interesting features for us. The pressures on the ice resulted in folds forming caves. Moving around was an art, because our crampons were of the instep type, which meant trying to remember to place the middle part of your foot onto the highest ripples of the ice. Although the guides were on the glacier virtually every day the weather was favourable, they still had to resurvey the route each day, because the ice was constantly moving and its patterns changed overnight. The ice was also melting in the autumn sunshine, making exploration a soggy business, especially underfoot. As we moved higher up the ice, we could see the next consignment of hikers arriving. The crevasse in the foreground was scarily deep. There was a camaraderie amongst the fellow tourists as we literally found our feet. There was also plenty of camera swapping going on to get the "I was there" record for the family album. The blue coloration is because only the short blue wavelengths can penetrate deep into the ice. Initially, it was a matter of following faithfully in the path of our guide. She hacked at the ice with gusto to make footholds when she came to some of the trickier slopes. Surprisingly, conditions seemed to get wetter the higher we went. The steep valley and the warm climate helps the ice to flow quickly. Quickly, that is, for a glacier, as it is considered to take a snowflake falling at the top 60 years to reach the terminal face at the bottom. Just as we were getting our sea legs, so to speak, it was time to squeeze back into our helicopter again. The return trip took us over the termination of the glacier, which looked a bit grey with the debris it had picked up from scouring the valley on the way down. After that, there was the moraine and the stone-strewn riverbed. Soon we saw the helipad with Old Blue waiting to return us to the village. Looking back up from base camp, we could see the clouds coming down on the glacier. Since the helicopters only fly when it is clear, we had been very lucky with our morning. All that remained was to swap our heavy boots for our duly attended certificates. A memorable trip.